World War II. Just when everyone thought it was safe to get back into the water again, another war loomed on the horizon. Unresolved issues from World War I carried over to World War II. These issues included resentments, unresolved from World War I, Europe's emphasis on revenge, not on reconciliation, and Europe's failure to embrace democracy. Efforts to keep Germany powerless by America and her allies from World War I inspired drastic measures by the Germans to bring back their past pride and prosperity. This map shows the major players in the European theater in World War I. The losers of the First World War had to start over or pick up from there to get their countries back on track and operating smoothly. They turned to new forms of government, fascism in Italy and Nazism in Germany, to bring them out of post-war trauma and economic doom. Fascism, to define it, is a lot like a family. A family where dad has ultimate control of the household. No one sits in his chair, questions his authority, or complains when given a task to do. Fascism is a one-party totalitarian state in which the leader has total control. A fascist dictator is always right. Glorification of terror and violence is used to control and unite the country's people. Opposition groups simply are not allowed. After a war, people are sometimes lost in the confusion of it all, and they just want some stability no matter what the cost. Fascism appeals to the members of the lower middle class in the countries that lost World War I because of the devastation of their economies and their fears about basic survival that followed. Fascism includes economic, social, and political mobilization. It's considered the final stage in the evolution of capitalism. And on paper, fascism resembles communism with one major difference. Fascists allow private ownership of property as long as the individual swears allegiance to the state. In Italy, Benito Mussolini was the guy to get the job done. He inspired Italy and other nations to seriously consider a new form of government, fascism. This would be used to regain economic and political power. Under fascism, strong leaders could help with unemployment and inflation. Mussolini's new governmental system appealed to Italy's king and members of the lower middle class. In fact, Mussolini was named Il Duce, the leader, by the Italian king. Listen to Mussolini's slogan.
Everything for the state, nothing against the state, nothing outside the state. Benito Mussolini.
Germany, like Italy, had an up-and-coming radical leader who adopted fascist beliefs from Italy, but he put his own spin on them. Fascism, later renamed Nazism, was founded in Germany by Adolf Hitler, a wounded corporal in World War I. Hitler knew that emphasizing racism and leading masses to believe in scapegoats responsible for the loss of power through World War I would increase the German people's pride and nationalism. However, he was imprisoned by the German government during the 1920s for his extremism. To understand how Hitler worked, one must understand the meaning of nationalism. Nationalism includes being devoted to the interest of one's country, increased pride and patriotism, and a major emphasis on military power. Nationalist leaders will employ questionable tactics to empower their country. Germany, Italy, and Japan rallied around extreme nationalism to strengthen their nations and make them key players in the international scene. Their tactics, however, were self-serving and destructive in nature. Hitler was always thinking. Even while he was in prison, he didn't waste his time. He wrote his autobiography Mein Kampf, or My Struggle. After his release from prison, he delivered speeches at rallies. His intense, charismatic personality and skill at exciting a crowd made him popular. With this popularity, Hitler became the chancellor, or the head of state, in Germany. Popularity in Nazism grew during the Great Depression of Europe. The word Reich means kingdom or empire. The German Reich became the official name of the German government, but it was often referred to as the Third Reich. It implies that this was the third greatest empire in Germany's history. Hitler was in ultimate control for 12 years. Hitler, his background was very traumatic. This probably is why he harbored a lot of hate and rage. There are several theories on why he hated Jews in particular. He was part Jewish on his mother's side and had internalized racism towards Jews. Past abuses by his stepfather led to rage directed at anyone vulnerable, such as the Jews. He blamed a Jewish doctor for the death of his mother. He believed that Jewish bankers were behind World War I, and he was denied entry into Vienna Art School, in his mind, by Jewish leaders. Thousands of people, called undesirables by Nazis, were crammed into filthy cattle train cars and shipped daily to death factories and forced labor camps, called concentration camps. This is all part of Hitler's final solution, his big plan. Many suffocated or died from dehydration or disease during the train shipments. Located throughout German-occupied territory, concentration camps included both work camps and death camps. At some work camps, prisoners were used as guinea pigs for horrendous medical experiments. Hitler defines learning history at the end of this excerpt from Mein Kampf. The words Mein Kampf, as I said before, can be translated into my struggle, my battle, and my fight. Interestingly enough, I believe in a lot of what Hitler has to say, and if you listen to the words carefully, he's not completely crazy.
Instruction in world history in the so-called high schools is even today in a very sorry condition. Few teachers understand that the study of history can never be to learn historical dates and events by heart and recite them by rote. That what matters is not whether the child knows exactly when this battle or that was fought, when a general was born, or even when a monarch, usually a very insignificant one, came into the crown of his forefathers. No, by the living God, this is very unimportant. To learn history means to seek and find the forces which are the causes leading to those effects which we subsequently perceive as historical events. Adolf Hitler, Mein Kampf.
So this is really the last point in which I agree with Adolf Hitler. I do think I agree that learning dates and memorizing them isn't really that important. Instead, we need to, in history, we need to look into what caused that. What is the problem? Now, Adolf Hitler seems very level-headed in this quotation, but the next one, he starts to show crazy.
Democracy, the deceitful theory that the Jew would insinuate, namely that all men are created equal. Adolf Hitler from Mein Kampf.
We can start to see in this one the fact that he's attacking the Jews and democracy is evil. So we can start to see some of Hitler's crazy coming out in this quotation. We will see more of Hitler's crazy throughout this presentation.